Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take sources, sometimes a whole stack, but today just one single, really potent one, and we dig in to find those core insights, to give you that shortcut to being genuinely informed. So today we're doing a deep dive into Cameron Whitcomb's song Fragile, specifically the official lyric video. And it's more than just a song, isn't it? It feels like a raw, pretty intimate look into a very personal journey, all laid out in the lyrics. Our mission then is to unpack the layers here, the meaning woven into these words. We're going to look at vulnerability, the grip of past struggles, self-perception, which is often complicated, and how human connection fits into all that. It really makes you ask, what does it mean to be fragile when the world often demands strength? And how do you reconcile who you were with who you're trying to be now? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, I think, is just how directly these words hit home. They really speak to the human condition. The specifics are personal, obviously, but the honesty, it's just so unvarnished. It gives you this window into experiences that maybe on some level we can all connect with. That struggle for self-acceptance, wanting to be understood.
Absolutely. And right away, the song just throws you into this idea of the past being inescapable. He says, guess I'll always be him, even after treatment, everything that he did. I relived the kid that you knew with holes in his shoes who stole from his family to feed his abuse. Wow, I mean, it's incredibly stark. Addiction, theft from family. What about those specific details like holes in his shoes stole from his family?
Yeah.
What does that choice reveal about the kind of shame or identity struggle he's grappling with, beyond just the addiction itself?
That's a really crucial observation. The kid with holes in his shoes. Yeah, it's not just about poverty or appearance. It's an image, isn't it, of a younger self, maybe a desperate self. It implies this identity that's deeply, deeply tied to those past actions. It suggests that even after treatment, the memory of that person, maybe the ingrained patterns, they still haunt him. It really challenges that common idea that recovery is just a clean break. It's more like a constant negotiation, really, an internal one with that past self.
That makes a lot of sense, a constant negotiation. And then he follows it with nothing like a relapse to rehash the key to escape. Well, that line hits hard. What do you think he means by the key to escape there? Is it escaping the pain of recovery, or maybe something else entirely?
Well, it's quite layered, I think. Key to escape.
Yeah.
Yes, it could definitely be that fleeting relief, that sort of deceptive promise old habits offer when healing feels uncomfortable. But I think it also suggests being forced back into engagement with the reasons he wanted to escape in the first place.
Yeah.
So a relapse, in the world of these lyrics, it isn't just a slip-up. It's like a painful mirror reflecting those core issues he was trying to run from. It forces him to re-examine the root of it all.
Right, okay. So understanding that deep-seated past, it's not surprising he then moves to this really raw plea. He says, hand with care because I'm fragile. A little too fragile. It's an admission, obviously, of vulnerability, but it almost sounds like a warning, too. And then this tension comes in. I know in your head I'm 100, but if you can't know how human I am, yeah, I understand it beyond it. Good to love a man who's fragile. He knows people might see him as fixed or 100% now. How does that challenge how we, as a society, maybe often look at recovery, expecting this sort of complete return to normal instead of an ongoing process?
That's precisely it. That's the core of it, isn't it? These lyrics really highlight that gap between the external expectation, this idea of a neat, linear recovery, and the internal reality, which is often ongoing fragility. He's basically saying, look, don't just see the recovered me, see the person still working through it, still human with all the messy parts. And it raises a big question for us, for you listening. Are we really ready to embrace someone's ongoing vulnerability? Or do we maybe subconsciously demand that fixed version? This desire to be seen completely, flaws and all, that's such a profound part of seeking real acceptance. And it really pushes back against that simple cure narrative we sometimes apply to treatment.
And you can see how that struggle for acceptance affects his relationships. He asks, wonder what I look like looking out from your eyes. Do you see the new me on my bones, the ink on my skin? He's desperate to know the changes, the tattoos, if they signify a new person to them, or if they still just see that kid with holes in his shoes. And then there's that hesitation. I backed out the window so you can't see in because I fraw. I'm sorry, I fraw. It's like he wants to show the fragility but then pulls back. Shame?
Yeah.
Fear? What does that hesitation tell us about the, the cost of being truly vulnerable.
Oh, it speaks volumes. It really shows that deep internal conflict, doesn't it? Wanting so badly to be seen and understood, but at the same time being terrified of the judgment or rejection that vulnerability might bring. That
Hmm.
backed out the window moment.
Hmm.
It's such a poignant picture of that self-preservation instinct kicking in immediately. The impulse to hide the most delicate parts. It shows that even when you desperately want connection, that deep-seated fear, the fear of being too much or unlovable, it can still win. It makes genuine intimacy incredibly challenging.
That's a huge point. A huge point. And this struggle with the past, it clearly leaves marks on his relationships. He says, if you can't handle how human I am, I understand, baby. It's good to love a man. Oh, can't forgive and won't forget. He's acknowledging, implicitly, that his past actions caused deep scars. That forgiveness, forgetting, it's hard for others. Then he admits, I got empathy and empty threats, but it's up to me to call you back because I want you back. Yeah, I want you back. There's a paradox here, isn't there? He gets the pain he caused, understands the empty threats, maybe threats from others to leave, but that yearning for connection is still so powerful.
Absolutely. The paradox is right there in that tension between sort of self-awareness and self-preservation, or maybe the need for connection. He understands the consequences. He gets why others might react the way they do. The empty threats probably reflect their hurt, their boundaries. And yet, that human need for connection, for that specific connection, it's just so strong. It overrides even the rational understanding of the damage done. It shows that really complex dance between knowing your flaws, acknowledging them, but still desperately wanting to be loved, to be accepted, even by people who might have every reason not to forget.
And that final line, this fragile legal, where I had to prove to people that we're equal but we both full of shit, it throws another curveball right at the end. It seems to suggest this broader struggle, maybe societal, to prove your worth, prove equality, only to realize everyone, himself included, is, well, fallible, full of it. So what does this entire deep dive into Fragile really bring together for us?
Well, bringing this all together, this deep dive into Cameron Whitcomb's Fragile, it really illustrates that profound journey of grappling with identity, with connection. The lyrics just shine a light on how pervasive the past is, how it constantly informs and, yeah, challenges the present. We see the sheer courage it takes to actually admit vulnerability, to embrace being fragile, especially when the world often demands this perfected image. And critically, it shows that ongoing tension. Tension between who you were, who you're trying to become, and how others see you, which isn't always forgiving. It gives us a much more nuanced understanding of healing. It shows it's rarely, if ever, linear or complete.
Yeah. And summarizing that emotional impact, the key messages, we really witness that raw struggle, addiction, past choices, still from his family to feed his abuse, that awful realization of nothing like a relapse. We hear that heartfelt plea, almost desperate, if you can't handle how human I am. And we're left with that really poignant paradox, wanting connection, wanting someone back while carrying these deep issues, the hurt of can't forgive and won't forget, the weight of empty threats. So this deep dive into Fragile leaves us with a pretty potent question, I think. A question for ourselves: how much of our present identity is really separate from our past? And what does it take for us and for others to truly embrace the human parts of ourselves, flaws and all, with real care? What does it truly mean to love a man who's fragile?